Hello everyone, especially my dear class 6 student. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now in this video you are going to learn English supplementary epic with the sun. So before we start reading lesson number 1, now let's see the content. Lesson number 1, a tale of two birds. Lesson number 2, the friendly mongoose. Lesson number 3, the name of the lesson, the shepherd's treasure. Then in the lesson number 4, you will learn the old clock shop. Then lesson number 5, Tansen. You will learn the story of Tansen. Then lesson number 6, the monkey and the crocodile. Then in the lesson number 7, the wonder called sleep. Then lesson number 8, a peg with the sun. Then lesson number 9, what happened to the reptiles. Then the last lesson, lesson number 10, a strange wrestling match. So in this academic session 2021-2022, you will learn 10 lessons from English Supplementary, Epic with the Sun. So now let's start our first lesson. Lesson number 1. Lesson number 1. The name of the lesson, A Tale of Two Birds. Before reading the story, first let's read some points of this first part of the story. First point, a mother bird and her two young ones live in a forest. Then point number 2, the mother was killed in a storm and the young birds were separated from each other. Then the third point is found a different home. So in this first part of the story, you will find a mother bird who is living with her two young babies bird, say in a forest. Then the mother bird was killed in a storm. Then after her death, the two young baby birds were separated from each other. Then after that, they will find different homes. So now let's read the story and try to find out what happened to the mother bird and her two young babies. There once lived a bird and her two newborn babies in a forest. They had a nest in a tall shady tree, and there the mother bird took care of her little ones day and night. Say once a time, say there lived a mother bird with her two newborn babies, say in a forest. Say they made their nest in a tall shady tree, and there the mother bird took care of her little ones day and night. Say the mother bird took care of her two little babies day and night very carefully. One day there was a big storm. There was thunder, lightning, and rain, and the wind blew down many trees. Say one day a big storm came into the forest, say along with thunder, lightning, rain, and strong wind. So due to that, many trees were fallen down in the forest. The tall tree in which the birds lived also came down. Say the tall tree where the mother birds and her two little babies live also came down. That means their tree had also fallen down. A big, heavy branch hit the nest and killed the bird. Say a very big, heavy branch of the tree, say hit their nest. Then the mother bird died. Say, fortunately for the baby birds, the strong wind blew them away to the other side of the forest. Say, very luckily, say, fortunately, the two baby birds were blown them away to the other side of the forest by the strong wind. One of them came down near a cave where a gang of robbers lived. Say one of the two baby birds came down, say near a cave where a gang of robbers lived. Say you see in the picture, say some robbers are living inside the cave. Then one baby bird came down. Then the other landed outside a rishis ashram a little distance away. Then another little bird came down outside a rishis ashram, say a little distance away from the cave. Then let's see next page. Days passed, and the baby birds became big birds. Say after passing many days, the two baby birds became big birds. One day, the king of the country came to the forest to hunt. Say one day, the king of their country came to their forest for hunting. He saw a deer and rode after it. Then on seeing a deer, the king seized the deer on riding on the back of his horse. It ran deep into the forest, followed by the king. The deer ran, say, deep inside the thick forest. So the king followed the deer by riding on his horse. Soon the king lost his way and did not know where he was. Then, while chasing the deer, the king lost his way, and he could not know where he was. That means the king was lost in the forest. He rode on for a long time till he came to the other side of the forest. Very tired by now, he got off his horse and sat down under a tree that stood near a cave. Then the king rode for a long time, say until he reached to the other side of the forest. Then, for riding on the horseback and going for a long time, the king got tired. That's why he decided to take rest under a shady tree just near a cave. Then, while taking rest under the shady tree, the king got off his horse. The king tied the string of the horse in a very big tree. Suddenly he heard a voice cry out, "Quick, hurry up! There is someone under the tree." Then, while the king was taking rest under the shady tree, he heard a voice cried out, say, crying out, say, "Quick, hurry up! There is someone under the tree." Say, the voice sounds in this way, say, "Someone under the shady tree. Come and take his jewels and his horse." The voice cried out that, "Come and take his jewel and his horse. Hurry, or else he will slip away." The king was amazed, say, on hearing the voice. The king was surprised. He looked up and saw a big brown bird on the tree under which he was sitting. Then the king looked up at the tree. Then he saw a big brown bird on the tree. Then the king felt surprised on hearing the word of this big brown bird. He also heard faint noises issuing from the cave. Then the king heard some faint noises issuing from the cave. That means the sound of the robbers from the cave. He quickly got onto his horse. Then the king immediately mounted onto his horse and rode away as fast as he could. Then the king tried to leave the place, tried to leave the cave as fast as he could. Thus, in this way, the king escaped from the gang of robbers So this is the end of the first part of the story. Then now we have to read the second part of the story. Before reading the second part of the story, now let's try to read 3 points of this second part of the story. The king was amazed to hear a similar voice again. He came to know the bird's true story. He met the rishi who explained the behavior of each bird. So in this second part of the story, the king was amazed to hear a similar voice again from another bird. Then he will come to know about the true story of the two birds, two little birds. Then, in the end, the king will meet the rishi who will explain the behavior of these two birds. So, try to learn the second part of the story. Listen carefully. Soon he came to a clearing which looked like an ashram. Then, after leaving the cave, now the king came to a clearing place. That means, from outside the forest, he came to a clearing place. That means, not a forest area, which looked like an ashram. So now the king landed near an ashram. It was the Rishi's ashram. Then the ashram was for the Rishi. The king tied his horse to a tree. Then, on reaching the Rishi's ashram, now the king tied his horse to a tree and sat down in its seat. Then the king decided to take rest under the tree where he tied his horse. Suddenly he heard a gentle voice announce, "Welcome to the ashram." Then suddenly, while he was taking rest under the shady tree, he heard a voice announcing, "Welcome to the ashram, sir. Please go inside and rest." Then the voice called him to go inside and take rest. The rishi will be back soon. Then the voice told him that the rishi will be back soon. There is some cold water in the pot. Then the voice cried out that there was some cold water in the pot. Please make yourself comfortable. Then the voice requests him to make himself comfortable. The king looked up and saw a big brown bird in the tree. Then the king looked up at the tree. Then he saw a big brown bird, like the previous bird. Same as the previous bird, the king looked. The king saw a big brown bird. He was amazed This one looks like the other bird outside the cave, he said to himself loudly. Say, on seeing this bird near the this is awesome, the king was amazed. That means the king felt surprised to see a same big brown bird just outside, just near the ashram. Then the king was amazed that this bird is just like the other bird who live outside the cave. That means the two birds which the king saw were alike. That means were identical, resemble. The two birds were identical. That means the two birds looks alike. Say all are big and brown in color. You are right, sir, answered the bird. Now the bird who lived near the ashram answered to the king that he was right. He is my brother, but he has made friends with robbers. The bird who lived near the ashram told to the king that the other bird was his brother and he had made friends with robbers. Robbers means the person who steal others' belonging, what we call robbers. He now talk as they do. Say just like the robber, his brother also behave like a robber, then talk like a robber. He does not talk to me anymore. Then after making company with the robbers, his brother bird never talked to him anymore. Just then the rishi entered the ashram. Then after that the rishi entered to the ashram. Let's see next page. Welcome, sir, he said to the king. Please come inside and make yourself at home. Then the bird Welcome, sir, he said to the king. Please come inside and make yourself at home. You look tired. Rest for a while, then you can share my food. Then the rishis welcomed the king and to enter inside the ashram and take rest. Then he told to the king that he looked tired, so he requests the king to take rest and to share his food. The king told the rishi the story of the two birds and how each had behaved so differently though they looked so alike. Then now the king told to the rishi about the story of the two birds. Then he told about how each had behaved so differently though they looked so alike. The forest is full of surprise, he said. The king said to the rishis that the forest is full of surprise. The holy man smiled and said, "After all, one is known by the company one's keep." Then the holy man, the rishi, made a smile on hearing the king's word and said to the king, "After all, one is known by the company one keeps." That means a person is known by the company he keeps. Say like if you make company with the bad boys, you will behave like a bad boys. Then if you make company with the good boys, you will behave properly. So one is known by the company one's keeps. That bird has always heard the talk of robbers. He imitates them and talk about robbing people. Say the disease explain about the bird who live near the cave. Say he that particular bird make company with the robbers, so he imitates like a robber and he talk about robbing people. Then the disease further explain about the birds that lives near his ashram. This one has repeated what he has always heard. He welcomed people to the ashram. Then the rishis explained that the bird who live near his ashram always welcome people to the ashram and behave in a good way. Now come inside and rest. I will tell you more about this place and this bird. Then the rishi asked the king to come inside the ashram and to take rest. Then the disease is going to tell more about the place and the two birds. Now the story is finished. The moral of the story is one is known by the company one's keep. So student always try to make company with the good people. If you make company with the good people, you will become a successful person. Now let's try to discuss the question answer. So let's see first question. Question number 1. How did the two baby birds get separated? Then you can write the answer in this way. The two baby birds live with their mother in a nest in a tall and shady tree. One day there was a big storm with thunder, lightning, and rain. A big heavy branch hit the nest and killed the mother bird. The strong wind blew the two baby birds away to the other side of the forest and separated them from each other. Then, question number 2. Where did each of them find a home? One of the baby birds came down near a cave where a gang of robbers lived. The other baby bird landed outside a rishis ashram a little distance away. Thus, the two baby birds found different homes. Then question number 3. What did the first bird say to the stranger? Answer. The first bird saw the stranger, i.e., the king. He called the robbers to come quickly and rob the king of his jewels and his horse. The bird had indirectly warned the stranger of the consequence of sitting near the gap. Then question number 4. What did the second bird say to himself? The answer you can write like this. The second bird welcomed the king to the ashram. He requested the stranger to go inside the ashram, take some rest, and make himself comfortable. He further added that the first bird was his brother who had made friends with robbers, so he talked like them. Then, in the question number 5, look at question number 5. How did the Rishi explain the different ways in which the birds behave? Answer. The king was surprised about the difference in behavior between the two birds. The Rishi explained that the first bird imitated the same words that he heard from the robbers, whereas the second bird repeated the words that he had always heard at the ashram. This implies that the different way of behavior between the two birds was the result of the company in which they live. Then, question number 6, the last question. Which one of the following sums up the story base? Say out of these 3 options, you have to choose the best sum up of this particular story, A Tale of Two Birds. Say first option, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. Then number 2, one is known by the company one keeps. Then the third point, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So out of these 3 options, the best sum up of this story is number 2. One is known by the company one keeps. So now lesson number 1 finish here. So I advise you all to read the story very carefully in order to understand more and more. So try to read the whole story. Then lastly, the moral of the lessons is one is known by the company one's keep. So you must always try to make company with good people. Thank you for watching my video.